As coordinator of the Asian American Studies program, it's my great pleasure to introduce the next student speaker. During the past 2 years, the Asian American Studies program, through generous funding from the Provost's office and in collaboration with the other ethnic studies departments, incorporated high-impact learning practices into the core ethnic studies curriculum. These high-impact practices included community engagement, tutoring, and peer mentoring. This year's student speaker for Asian American Studies served as the lead tutor and mentor for 4 classes on this project. Through his involvement, students of ethnic studies were able to engage more deeply and more meaningfully in self-development and community-based learning. Currently, our speaker is training for a career in teaching, where he's already integrating ethnic studies into his pedagogy. As coordinator of Asian American Studies, it is my great honor to recognize and to introduce graduate Albert Ferranco.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So me and Moses actually have a similar introduction. Thank you for this great honor and privilege, Dr. No. I'd like to confess that when I was asked to do this speech, I was actually very horrified. But after I said yes, my next question was, how do you do a commencement speech? And I asked a lot of people, a lot of my mentors, people I look up to, and this common thread advice I got was just speak from the heart. So with that in mind, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank my parents, family, and friends that have supported me throughout this journey, through the years. I especially want to thank the faculty and staff for their commitment and hard work. And I say that not only as a student, but as someone who's an inspiring teacher, who's currently student teaching history at a local high school. I had no idea how much preparation, energy, hard work it took to get in front of people. Students get in front of people, students day after day. I've never been so stressed in my life, and the signs are there. I have baggy eyes, more white hairs. I even caught myself talking to myself a few more times. And I only have to prepare 53 minutes of material a day. My professors, they have 2, 3, 4, 5, so much classes, and I can't imagine how much work they put in. Sure, I'm scared, stressed, exhausted, but I've never been so determined, motivated, and happy to be doing what I'm doing. And I would not be where I am today without Asian American Studies and the amazing faculty and staff. I remember when I did my interview for the teaching program here at Fullerton, it was a few months ago. They gave us a set of interview questions, right? No big deal. Questions like, what strengths will you bring to the classroom and profession? How adept are you using technology? What led you to consider a career in teaching? So like any hopeful candidate, I over-prepared, writing every answer, prepared every statement. So when the day came, I was ready. Shirt, tie, I felt like $1 million. And the group interview started, and I was one of 3 candidates, 1 political science major, 2 history majors like myself. And the questions came, and I was ready. There was a question about diverse populations in California, and I was really excited to get, because of my ethnic studies degree. I was like, okay, I got this, so I can nail it. I have experience. But 2 of my peers got this question, but when it was my turn, my interviewer opened my manila folder with my name on it, glanced at it, looked at my application, and with her piercing gaze, said, so why Asian American Studies? And I felt like the eyes in the room were locked on me as I had to justify my second major. I was flabbergasted, stunned, shocked, and I actually panicked. I had no prepared answer, but when I responded, what came out appeared to be a knee-jerk truth I never considered. I said, after all the years and classes I took in history, I never bothered to ask about my own. And I'll repeat that again. After so many years of history courses, I had never bothered to put a mirror in front of myself and ask about my own history. So it's a simple answer, but it had a profound meaning to me as a person, student, and future teacher. I was so caught up with higher ed that I forgot why I wanted to study history and ethnic studies and teach. And simply, I just wanted to talk about my grandfather. And this actually isn't the first time I talked to a room full of people about my grandfather. So 8 years ago, I had the honor to deliver his eulogy. And one of the things I remember saying that I wanted that I wanted his Filipino-American story to be known. I wanted to talk about the Battle of Bataan Death March, his daring escape from the Japanese, his gunshot wounds, his heroism. And even after the war, his struggle would continue as he secured a visa to the United States. And life wasn't easy, as the promise of America being the land of opportunity bore little fruit for him. He would have to sweat and toil in this new foreign land. He spent years in the Delano grape fields, and any money he had, he was able to save, went home to pay for my mother's college. That paved the way for me and my family. It was years after he passed when my mother told of the tears and hardships he endured working the fields from dawn to dusk, waiting for the day when he could reunite with his family in this foreign land. And I wanted to tell the story, and I didn't want it to go away. And I remember years back taking Dr. Eric Grace's Intro to Asian American Studies and the Filipino American Experience course. And I was simply amazed to see my grandfather's and my own life experiences on printed paper. It's something I never seen before or considered important as a standalone history major. And ethnic studies had the framework I needed to teach my grandfather's story. So I felt compelled. I felt compelled to know more. So first I became a minor, and after a few weeks of taking Asian American classes, I fell in love and I declared a major. So Mary, actually, who's graduating with me, had an interesting conversation a few days ago. It's kind of relevant. And she said, when we were doing our senior seminar, did you ever imagine yourself being on the podium and doing the commencement speech? And I immediately thought, I don't think anyone really knows what they're in for when you declare an ethnic studies major. And I caught myself off guard simply when I joined about the amazing students that I met here. So let me give you an example. I remember one day after a long day of student teaching, tutoring, and my education methods course, I decided to visit another one of Dr. Reyes' ethnic studies senior seminar. The students were a combination of all three majors: African American Studies, Chicano Studies, and Asian American Studies. And they were doing this activity. One I did myself a year before that, but completely forgot about. Students got each a section of a whiteboard, and they had to describe themselves, what they saw in their future in 5 years. I saw someone that wanted to coach their high school basketball team. Another student wanted to promote health in the community, a future social worker, and a soon-to-be lawyer. I was half awake, but it didn't take me long to realize a common thread. And at the peak of their undergrad, they, like myself, wanted to take the knowledge and skills they acquired in ethnic studies to give back to the community that had nurtured them. It was kind of magical, and for many of us on this stage, we found our voices and purpose through this major. And I know I found mine. I feel the weight of my ethnic studies degree every day I walk into a high school classroom. It informs my lectures, my lesson plans, my pedagogy, my ability to teach. So why Asian American Studies? Quite simply, I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach in my community, not only to tell my story, my history, but my future students to seek their own, to be empowered and inspired by histories not found in their textbook, but the one found at home. So with that, congratulations to class of 2015, and thank you.